Hello, hello. Welcome in, piggies. Welcome in. I hope you're all ready for the class of your lifetime. All right. Hello, Espa. Welcome in. Espa got first, but he is also driving for the majority of the stream, so he's not allowed to type while he's driving. That is illegal. Don't text and drive, folks. Hello, Tan. Hello, Fexus, and hello, Average. Welcome in, guys. How's it going? How's your weekend? I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. I am very excited to do this. Actually, it's gonna be fun. All right. Yeah, landlords do suck, Fexus. I totally agree. Good. We are promoting dangerous diving. No, Ventus. We're not promoting dangerous driving. That's the opposite. Welcome in. How's it going? Look. The whole point of this right here is to talk to you guys and hopefully put some sense in your heads about doing things, doing things that are dangerous. Okay? So no texting and driving. And I highly discourage making deals with Djinns. This class is going to be more like a cautionary tale than anything else, right? Okay? So just just be forewarned. I once saw someone riding a bike without holding the handlebars, hands in pockets, like a unicycle. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's definitely crazy. Would not ever I would never encourage. If I saw someone doing that, I probably would leave the road. I would just not want to be driving near them whatsoever. I would be like, "Where's the next exit? I gotta go." Japanese bike riders, wild. That's crazy. We get a lot of those where I live. The fuck? Just people. Look, ma, no hands. As if that's okay. All right. Sure. Sure. But all right. So today's agenda on our we're gonna get rolling right in. Today's agenda, we're gonna talk about a lot of this is gonna be just about the origin of Djinns because I think agenda. Oh my God, Fextus, you're so correct. I really should have seen that and put it in. Agenda. That's hilarious. I'm kicking myself for missed opportunities here for the pun. Our agenda today, we're going to talk about the origin of Djinns. What are they? What are they made of? What do they do with their time when they're not out there granting wishes? Um, and then we're going to talk a bit about like pop culture Djinns and the different, like, just what's going on with them. And I'm going to tell a few stories. We're gonna go into like the stories that kind of all of our pop culture is based upon, and then we'll talk about how to make the most of your wishes, how to make sure you get what you want out of your wishes. Okay. Okay. So my disclaimer. What would be the catch with sleeping with Djinns? Actually, there's a lot of folklore about Um, Djinns, Djinns in like pre-Islamic folklore have a lot of similarities to humans. They can eat, they can sleep, they can fuck. They often get into relationships with humans. They're like neutral beings. Um, they don't seem to be evil or good. They have romantic feelings sometimes. So if that's the kind of djinn you find, then great, go for it. I guess they're just yeah. I can't endorse it, but if that's what you want, I also can't stop you. I'm fucking the djinns. With only if they want to. Only if they want to. They gotta, you know. They do fuck people over if they get harmed. Like if you harm a djinn, they give you that energy back like times 1,000. Can you give STDs to djinns? Well, the idea that if you harm them, they will also harm you means that they can be harmed. So I wonder, that's a great question, Tan. 1,000 times STD? Super STD? Is this how we get the next is this how we get the next like super virus? AIDS 3.0. Oh God, yeah, super COVID. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh God, this is gonna be like the next pandemic. If somebody gives AIDS or like HIV to a djinn, magical STDs. That would be a really funny thing to explore in like a TV show. Like a medical, those like doctor TV shows, but it's like magical ailments. I think that'd be really funny basis. All right. But yeah, so this is my disclaimer. Don't get involved with djinns. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. This is for fun purposes. The purpose of this class is to have a little bit of fun and to learn about the origins of djinns. But in real life, don't fucking do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm sticking my dick in the djinn and he can't stop me. God damn it. Oh no. What have I done? Oh, I regret this so much. Okay. I do not endorse or approve of intermingling with djinns. All right? They're like otherworldly beings. Just don't do it. Me letting the goth girl do whatever she wants to me, but a djinn. Yeah. Oh my god. What if they don't have holes? They could be like Barbie. Yeah. So, that actually is a great question. Because what exactly is a djinn? Um, we know that they originate in pre-Islamic culture and folklore. They're actually all of these spellings are correct. They mean the exact same thing. So jinn without the J, without the D is like the Arabic uh, way to spell it. Um, jinn with the D is when like those stories and language started to get Romanized, so translated into Latin. And then genie is just the anglicized version of it, and it actually comes from the French word genie, which I think is kind of cool. I'd give the djinn the D. Putting the D in djinn. They're generally invisible. So I like to think of it as like that scene in Scary Movie where what's her face? Anna Faris. Anna Faris's character gets like fucked by the ghost, and he's invisible, but she's like clearly into it. Um, but they often like to take the forms of animals, particularly snakes, and they can also take the form of humans. So I guess that answers your question, Ventus. If do they have holes? They can assume the form of a human. So I think they would have all the apparatus that humans would have. Uh, there's not a lot of information out there about where Djinns came from, or like like what they originally were before they became like this version that we know of, like the farthest back that we can trace it. But they were thought to be originally like malevolent spirits representing like the desert or unsafe, unclean places. Can they turn into cats or other things, or just humans and snakes? No, they can. I There's a whole list of things that they can turn into. Um, let's see. Da-da-da-da. Bo, 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 bo. I have so many tabs open. Um, so many tabs open. Oh my god. Yeah, like snakes, falcons, um, uh, things like horses or other cattle, wild animals, birds, reptiles, um, scorpions, lizards. I don't see cat specifically on this list, but I assume that if they can turn into a horse and a bird and a lizard, they could probably also do a cat. Very good and varied. Yes, yes. But they originally started out as like these malevolent spirits that kind of represented what it kind of reminded me of was like Set in Egyptian mythology, where Set represents like the desert and like this dangerous area. That kind of reminded me of like what they're talking about here with like malevolent spirits existing in like the desert. Um, it it seems very typical that when you have a physically dangerous place, or with like dangerous animals that's just not very hospitable, that ancient cultures would imagine that that was the home of like evil spirits, because it just represented danger to them. So I thought that was a very cool kind of consistency within all ancient mythology. But over time, they evolved to be more like neutral spirits. And in pre Islamic like religions, paganism, um, I'm a jinn. Oh my God. I guess, like, yeah, Bakuwater, you're a shapeshifter, so you could be a jinn. You could be. But they basically kind of see jinn as like household spirits. So the difference between a jinn and a god is that a god is worshipped publicly, has a lot of um like temples, a lot of followers, might have like uh priests who lead worship. Whereas jinns are like household spirits. They're worshipped privately. Your jinn is like in your house, in your farm. They're very local. So they're like brownies. I think brownies have more of a connotation of being like household helpers, whereas like Djinn are not going to do your household chores for you. Squelching noises intensifies. Tan, no, no, like imagine. Oh, imagine. We're getting a lot of Djinn-based puns today. If Djinns are comparable to gods, they gotta go too. And if Bach is a Djinn, oh no, he's just a mimic. He's just a little mimic. Don't shoot him. But yeah, um, hey, what do you mean, hey? What do you mean, hey? But yeah, so that's kind of like the ancient origins of Djinns. And then they evolved to being like these invisible entities. They're said to be beings of smokeless flame. So that's where you kind of get into the different class. There are different classifications of Djinn, um, depending on like their power level and how evil they are. But your general one is just going to be like this spirit, this kind of neutral spirit. So, how did they become wish granters? How did they have the power to grant wishes? Um, so there's a lot of different stories that I think our modern culture bases our like idea of a Djinn on, and I'm gonna read them to. Well, I'm not going to read them word for word, but I'm going to summarize them for you, and go through like, where did these come from? But the first one is Aladdin and his magic lamp, which was actually, so it's included in 1001 Nights. Um, but it is not originally from 1001 Nights, if you believe it. It was written by the French writer who translated 1001 Nights into um, and like brought it over to Europe, which was very cool. He said he heard it from this Assyrian storyteller named Hannah Diab, but like there's very little information on that, and so we're like, okay, yeah, you heard it. You're telling everybody you heard it from this guy, but who knows? He could have made it up. Um, there was no mention of this guy in anything I could find until somebody wrote a biography about him, but the sources are thin. The sources are thin on that one, so it's typically um, credited to this Antoine Galland who translated the rest of 1001 Nights. Um, so you get Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. That one's like permeated into all of our pop culture. We obviously know Disney's Aladdin made it very popular. There's another one called Three Ridiculous Wishes. This one is where I think we get the idea of only getting three wishes, or three wishes. Genies give you three wishes, and that's the max. Them's the rules. Um, the wishes in this story don't actually come from a genie; they come from the god Jupiter. Uh, but it does kind of give you this idea of uh, like you get three wishes and you use them in a like you use them in a way that is funny or like not actually what your intentions are. So that's where this idea that like jinns are tricksters, I think, or that the wishes are not actually going to be beneficial to you or may be harmful to you, or that like you have to watch what your words are because they're taken very literally. Comes from this story, The Three Ridiculous Wishes. And then finally, you have The Fisherman and the Genie, which is from 1001 Nights, which is a collection of Arabic folk tales that has, been around forever. There's no like author or like date that it came out. It's just this collection that's been around for as long as memory serves. But I'm gonna just give you the synopsis of each story. Um Reverse psychology witches. I mean, that's worth a shot, maybe. Okay, so we have the first one, Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. Um, so Aladdin is this young kid. He's living with his mother. They kind of live in poverty. Um, his father has died recently. He does not want to go into a trade. He doesn't want to, like, you know, become just this normal person. He prefers to go and explore and play with other kids, and just kind of all sorts of, like, you know, has an adventurous spirit. One day, Aladdin is walking around, lazy bum, or free. He's got a free spirit tan. You can't judge him. Because one day he's approached by a sorcerer, and this guy claims to be his uncle, and he asks Aladdin to work with him and do a job for him. And he tells Aladdin that if he does what he tells him, Aladdin will grow up to be rich. Um, he goes to his mother and he's like, "Oh my God, I got this great deal." She's a little suspicious. She's never met this person before, and now he's claiming to be Aladdin's uncle. Um, but she's eventually convinced and allows Aladdin to go work with him. So the sorcerer shows Aladdin gardens full of beautiful riches, and then he leads Aladdin down into a cave, and he tells him, "Go fetch an oil lamp inside of it." Um, he gives Aladdin what he says is a magic ring that will protect him while he searches for the oil lamp. Um, Aladdin succeeds. He finds the lamp, but he refuses to give it to the sorcerer once he's out of the cave. So the sorcerer seals Aladdin inside the cave with the lamp. Aladdin is obviously very distraught, and he prays for help. And while he's praying, he accidentally rubs the ring that the sorcerer gave to him, and a genie appears. The genie asks what he can do for Aladdin, and Aladdin says, "Please take me home." And so the genie takes him home. Um, he has the lamp. He's at home. He tells his mother what happened, about how his long lost uncle is not his uncle. He was a liar. He was in fact a sorcerer. He wanted this lamp for some reason. And his mom's like, okay. But she starts cleaning the lamp. And sorry, my Xbox notifications are attached to my computer. Um, so she begins to clean the lamp because it's all dirty and grimy from being in a cave forever. And as she does, she rubs it, and a second genie appears. Because in a lot of these stories, the wishes are not limited to three wishes. That specifically comes from the other story, the idea that you're limited to three wishes. And yes, a second genie. There's two genies in this story, the ring genie and the lamp genie. And in this story, the ring genie is a lot less powerful. The lamp, it cannot override things that the lamp genie has done, or like create things out of nothing. It can only bring you bring you things that already exist, whereas the lamp genie is much more powerful. What is this, Magi? Yeah. So the genie appears. Um, they ask it for food, and it brings them food, and they're super happy, and it allows them to like live a decent life for the next few years. So they actually have the genie for a long time before anything else goes down. Magi is a show about that has a lot of genies. Oh, okay. Gosh, I don't think I've seen that one. That sounds like cool. I should add it to my list. I like Magi. Ooh, I have to check it out then. Djinn flute? There's a Djinn flute? Oh my goodness. Um, that sounds like a cool show. I will have to go find it. Um, but then after so Aladdin grows up. It's important to note that this Djinn is James Earl Jones. Okay, I have to. I have to watch it now if it's got James Earl Jones in it. Oh my gosh. He's one of the greatest actors of all time. Um, but anyway, so Aladdin grows up. They live they live a pretty decent life. Not the show. Unrelated comment. Oh, okay. Gotcha. You got me excited there, Tan. But yeah. So Aladdin grows up. They've lived a pretty good, decent life because of the genie. Um, and a few years down the road, he catches sight of the Sultan's daughter, and he's like, "Wow, she's so beautiful." And he vows to marry her. He vows to marry her. So that's another difference um, between Disney and the original story is that he doesn't wish to become a prince. He just wishes for jewels and stuff to make it obvious that he's rich. And then he goes to the Sultan and he says, "Can I have your daughter's hand in marriage?" And he gives the jewels over, and that's enough to impress the Sultan to grant the wish to grant his daughter's hand in marriage. And it kind of betrays the age of these stories. It's very medieval, where you just had to prove you were rich enough, and the king would be like, "Yes, let's go, marry my daughter." Tan, you're like 15 seconds behind. Oh no, it's probably because I have so many Google tabs open at the moment. I try to close some things as we go along. Average, thank you for the hydrate. Okay. How much gold for daughter? It doesn't say how much exactly, just that he gave a lot of precious jewels over. Google Tab Life, get more RAM if you can, it helps. Yeah, I would need, so I'm on my laptop, I don't have an actual PC. I have a laptop. So I did increase the RAM at one point and that helped a lot, but I'm kind of maxed out. Those are the only points you're getting besides Hal. Oh no. I appreciate it. Okay, I have to boost this drink that I've got because I it's like the best thing ever. So it's non-alcoholic, but it tastes like a mixed drink. It's like cranberry pineapple juice mixed with Sprite. Okay, so it's like 1 part cranberry pineapple juice, and then 2 parts Sprite, and it is just so delicious. It's 10 out of 10. I gotta like get you guys on this because I don't know what possessed me to put these two things together, but I did, and it's delicious. Infectious, thank you for the stretch. Blah. Um, you managed to break your bed average. What did you do? Cotton candy and Sprite together is also good. Ooh, I have not tried that, but that seems like a lot of sugar, yes. Espa, you're not allowed to be typing, okay? I know you're driving. Stop it. One of the weldings on the frame broke. Ooh, that's no good. That's like broken. Average. That really sucks. Sometimes my super sugary American upbringing shows. No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not. Listen, I'm on your side here. That doesn't sound like a bad thing. I'm gonna have to go. Family is preparing for the Super Bowl. Watch the vid later. All right, Tan. Have a fun sports ball. Enjoy yourself. Espa, no teeheeing. No teeheeing. Stop chatting. You're allowed to listen, but you need to keep your eyes on the road, mister. If the bunk bed collapses, it collapses. That's no good. Don't sleep on that. You're gonna fall in the middle of the night. Um, don't encourage him with your corroborating tee-hees. Not sleeping on the floor. I mean, you could always just pull the mattress off and sleep on the mattress, but maybe it's not the safest to sleep on a broken bunk bed. I don't know. All right, but back to our story. The vizier, so that's the sultan's advisor, is not happy because he wanted his own son to marry the sultan's daughter. Um, and so the sultan hears him out and he's like, okay, your son has 3 months to come up with an even better gift. And if he can do that, then uh, the vizier's son can marry the daughter instead. So they're like, okay, yeah, whatever. Aladdin goes home. His mother then finds out that the vizier's son has married the sultan's daughter before the end of the 3 months, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" And he assumes that the sultan went back on his promise. So he's like, "I gotta prevent the marriage from being consummated because, of course, that's what they care about." And he sends. This is the funny part. He sends the genie to throw the groom into the toilet and then take the sultan's daughter and the bed to Aladdin's home. And the genie like guards the daughter the whole night, doesn't let her leave. She's terrified the whole night. No explanation of what's going on. And then finally, in the morning, the genie returns her to her home and lets the lets the groom out of the privy. And he does that night after night after night until the sultan is finally like, okay, this marriage is not something's going on here. We're gonna cancel the marriage. It's null and void. What were their toilets like? How did he get thrown in? I mean, I'm imagining like a pit latrine, you know? That's what I'm envisioning. So I'm assuming it was kind of gross. Um, so after the 3 month mark, um, the attempted marriage between the sultan's or the vizier's son and the sultan's daughter is like canceled, and Aladdin's mother goes to the sultan and reminds him like, hey, you promised your daughter to Aladdin, and you got to fulfill that. So the sultan then allows Aladdin to marry the daughter. But the vizier gets in the way again and demands that Aladdin give them a dowry of 40 platters of gold, which he's able to do with the genie's help. And so the Sultan is like, damn, and he meets Aladdin. And he's very impressed by his wealth and welcomes him into the family. Aladdin has the genie build a huge pavilion right next to the Sultan's palace for him and the princess to live in. Meanwhile, from Act 1, the sorcerer who originally had Aladdin go in the cave to find the lamp learns that Aladdin survived the cave, kept the lamp, and is using it to become fabulously wealthy, marry the princess, yada yada. Large platters of gold? I would assume so. It doesn't, I mean, when I think of a platter, I think like big enough to hold a turkey, you know? Is this Jafar? Well, it seems like the Disney movie combined the roles of the sorcerer and the vizier. Because if you remember in Disney's Aladdin, Jafar is the vizier, but he also has magic and he's originally after the lamp. So I think they just combined those two people into one character to make it simpler for the movie. Um, So the sorcerer is like, well, fuck that. This was supposed to be my lamp. This was supposed to be my life, and Aladdin's living it. So he sneaks into the pavilion that Aladdin built to live in, disguised as a merchant who wants to like trade new lamps for old ones. Aladdin is out away hunting. And the Sultan's daughter, Aladdin's new wife, sees the old magic lamp lying around. She's unaware that it's magic, and so she gives the sorcerer the lamp. He then orders the genie to transport the whole pavilion that they're living in with the princess to his home in Africa. And I think he's from like Swahili or something. So Aladdin comes home from hunting. No, tricked out of power. Yes, exactly. Aladdin comes home from hunting. He discovers his whole house is gone. He's shocked. The Sultan is like, "What the fuck is going on? Where's my kid? Where's my daughter?" And he decides to execute Aladdin. But Aladdin is very popular with the people of the city, and so he agrees to give Aladdin a stay of execution and gives him 40 nights to try and track down the missing daughter, Aladdin's wife. And so Aladdin is like, how the fuck do I do this? But he remembers he's still got the magic ring. What the fuck was that escalation? I know, right? It like goes 0 to 100 immediately. He remembers he's still got the magic ring with the second genie in it. And so he rubs the magic ring and the ring genie appears. He's not powerful enough to undo anything that the lamp genie has done. He's a much less powerful genie, but he can take Aladdin to the place where the pavilion now stands. So Aladdin, poof, appears. He's able to like secretly speak to the princess, his wife, and they hatch a plan where she will drug the sorcerer, and while he's passed out, Aladdin will kill him. They then recover the lamp from him. They put it back next to the Sultan's palace. The Sultan is obviously overjoyed that his daughter is safe and sound. Aladdin explains the whole thing, and the Sultan's like, no prob, Bob. We're besties again. Um, and yeah, that's Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. So they don't question the building moving. Well, I think he also explains like the magic, I guess. I guess magic is just so much more commonplace in a story like this that they're like, yeah, you have a magic abilities apparently. Um and I'm not going to question that as much as people today might question that. You know? Yeah. So that's Magic Aladdin. He's like, we chill, yeah, we chill, bruv. You got my daughter back. That's the only thing I really care about. I mean, top dad moment. The only thing he really cared about was getting his kid back. So, you know, huh, yeah, but yeah. But no, I love that story. I think it's hilarious. It reminds me, it's very similar to all the other like OG fairy tales that I have read, in the fact that you have it's a rags to riches story. The protagonist is a bit of an underdog. They recover a magic item and have some sort of magic servant that uh, you know helps them get what they need to do done. They at some point lose their magic power, and they have to go back to like what they were before they had it, or even lower in status, and use their wits once again to recover the magic item that they had. And then they end up marrying a princess and being rich and fabulously wealthy for the rest of their lives. It's a pretty typical like fairy tale uh, storyline. And the next one follows a pretty much the same path. Um, Although it is not genie, it is not a djinn. There's no djinn in this story. This is the Three Ridiculous Wishes, um, by Charles Perrault. And this is where I think the idea of only getting three wishes comes from. So, as you see with Aladdin, Aladdin did not have a limit on the wishes. Um, and the genie, the jinns in Aladdin don't really have a personality. They're kind of just a tool in the story. They're not people. Um, they're just, yeah, they're it's a tool for Aladdin. They're magic tools, basically. Um, but in the Three Ridiculous Wishes, um, we do meet a god, the god Jupiter, which is the Roman version of Zeus. So this Jinn definitely didn't marry a human. No, no. A marriage. The marriage was between the two people for sure. Um, I don't think the jinn in Aladdin would have wanted to marry a person. It doesn't seem like a person enough to have its own desires. In fact, the only time we see the jinn in Aladdin have any kind of emotion is there's a second part to the story where the brother of the sorcerer comes in and wants to avenge his brother's death. So he disguises himself as a woman, a holy woman. He puts on a veil, he hides his face, and he gains the trust of the princess and tells them to get the egg of a rock, which is ROC, um, which is a type of bird, this type of like giant bird um, in Arabic folktale. Uh, but yeah, the the princess is like, oh my god, we need this egg to decorate. And she tells this to Aladdin, and he asks the genie for it. And the genie is like angry because the rock is the person who trapped him in the lamp. And he tells Aladdin that he's been tricked by yet another sorcerer, and so Aladdin kills the sorcerer's brother. Like that's the only time we ever see the genie have any kind of emotion in this story, and it's just like a weird add-on. Like it feels like the story should end with the first sorcerer's death and just Aladdin and his princess go live happily ever after. It's kind of weird to add on this second sorcerer who comes in for like 5 seconds, tries to pretend to be a woman to like get the princess to trust him, and then they don't even try to go get the rock egg. They just talk to the genie, and then Aladdin tricks the sorcerer and kills him, just like he did the first one. So it's a little like why is this in here? um, Seems unnecessary. But yeah, that's the only time that the Jinn in this story has any kind of emotion. He's just like a magical tool, basically, for the whole story. But in Three Ridiculous Wishes, so you have a woodcutter in this one, and he's tired of his life. He's bitter. He's like worked really hard. Um, can't catch a break kind of guy. And he shouts out one day that never in all of his life has uh, any one of his wishes been granted. And it just so happens that Jupiter hears him, appears before him, and he says, I hear your complaints, and I think you've judged me unfairly. So, since I'm king of all the world and all the gods, I promise to grant the first three wishes you utter. Um, think carefully before you make them, since they are your key to happiness and contentness. It's not a Roman story, but it is a French story. So this one is by a French author, and the French use the Roman gods. They don't use the Greek ones. If you look at any of the like Ask Espa, he's much more familiar with the Roman versions of gods than the Greek ones, um, which makes sense. I mean, the Romans definitely have a lot of influence in Europe. French is a Romance language based on So it makes sense that that part of the world would know and base stories off the Roman version of the pantheon, Roman pantheon. But so Jupiter gives him these 3 wishes. It's basically the first 3 wishes that you utter. So the first 3 wishes you say, no matter what they are, they will be granted. And the woodcutter's like, "Oh shit, this is really important. I need to talk to my wife about this. Like, we got to make our plan." And so he goes home, and more of a pre-19th century thing. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Also, Espa, you're not allowed to be typing right now. You're not allowed. Shush. Focus on the road. But he goes home and he announces to his wife, he tells her what's up, and they are like overjoyed. They're, counting their chickens before they hatch. And they're like, okay, we really have to plan these out. Like, we have to sit down and think about it. Um, but they decide to sleep on it, but before they go to bed, they're like, we got to celebrate. This is the best thing that's ever happened to us. And so they break open the wine. They have like a nice fire, and they celebrate, and they get a bit drunk. They broke open their like special wine, their like special occasion drinks, and they get a bit drunk. And the woodcutter is sitting back. He's enjoying the fireplace, and he says to his wife, I really wish we had some sausage. Wouldn't that be nice? And as soon as he says, I wish we had some sausage, lo and behold, they have this like huge sausage appear on the table in between them. And his wife is like, "You fucker! You idiot! What have you done? You've wasted one of our wishes." And it better be the best sausage they've ever had. I know, right? It's pretty big. It's pretty big. And she starts scolding him. He's like, I realize I made my mistake, but let's, it's done. What's done is done. Let's just, next time we'll do better. But she still continues to like be angry at him. She's like, you could have had a kingdom. You could have been rich with gold and pearls and rubies and diamonds, fine clothes, and all you wish for is a sausage. And he's like, bitch. And so he becomes very angry back at her, and he says, "A curse on you and all sausages. I wish that it was hanging from the end of your nose." And of course, bam, as soon as he says that, the sausage becomes attached to the wife's nose. It's stuck there. They try to pull it off. They're like, oh my God, this is now the worst situation that we could be in. And they're like, oh fuck. He's like, the woodcutter's like, we've got one more wish. I am so sorry that I have accidentally, in anger, attached the sausage permanently to your nose. So I'm gonna give you the last wish and let you take it, and you can wish. And the wife could have wished for making herself a queen, have all of the riches and diamonds, fine clothes she'd ever dreamed of. But she decides it wouldn't be worth it to live for her whole life with a sausage attached to the end of her nose. So she uses the last wish to make everything as it was before. And he ends up just being happy that they're able to restore everything to how it was before. So it's kind of it's a very funny tale. And I think it's a cautionary. Well, the moral of the story is, things could always be worse, or be careful what you wish for. But it's mostly comedic, and it's also where the idea of getting three wishes comes from. I do like to think that they were able to keep the sausage, but probably neither of them wanted to try to eat it because it had been, attached to the poor woman's nose. I didn't know if a sausage was edible and regenerates, maybe like infinite food glitch. Um, that's kind of more like the Jack and the Beanstalk, where the first time Jack goes up and robs the giant's house, he brings back this, I think it was a wheel of cheese. And as long as it didn't eat 100% of the cheese, they put it in a cabinet, and overnight it would it would regenerate to the full wheel of cheese or something like that. And they just had to be careful. They're like they had to leave so much and not eat the whole thing, and it would regenerate. That's more Jack and the Beanstalk. Yeah. This one is not so deep. The ridiculous wishes is not so deep. And it doesn't even say that they're poor per se, or that they are like they lack food. It's just that he has a hard job that he's tired of. You know? Okay. But my last story um is The Fisherman and the Genie. This one is found in 1001 Nights. So it was originally, it's an older story um, that does come from 1001 Nights. Um, but yeah. All right. So this one, it follows the same exact pattern where you have a, lower class individual, an underdog, who happens upon a magic item or magic being and has to use their wits to, improve their lot in life. But we have this fisherman who casts his net exactly 4 times a day. One day he goes to the shore, he casts his net, and the first thing he catches is the dead donkey. The second thing he catches is a pitcher full of dirt. The next thing he catches is some like shards of pottery and glass. And so on his fourth and final try, he calls upon, the heavens, and he casts his net. And when he pulls it up, he finds a copper jar with a cap that has a seal of Solomon on it, which is important. This is a big thing. So he's overjoyed. He could sell the jar for money, but he's curious about what's in it. And so he removes the cap with his knife. And a plume of smoke comes out of the jar and condenses into an ifrit, which is a more powerful and evil malevolent type of Djinn. Verb. So Ifrit is Ifrit, and Final Fantasy has misled me. Well, I think it could. I think I've seen sometimes that they have taken the form of birds, but it's basically just a more powerful Djinn. It's like there are types of Djinns, and Ifrit is one of them. I've seen them, like, oh my gosh, they have an Ifrit in True Blood, and it's just basically a demon of smoke and fire. But that's basically, yeah, they're they're evil, more powerful versions of Djinns in like in the folklore. But so this Ifrit comes out, and the fisherman is very frightened, but the Ifrit does not notice him at first. Thinks that Solomon has come to kill him, and when the fisherman tells him, like, "Hey, Solomon's been dead for centuries," the Ifrit is overjoyed, and he tells the fisherman, "I will grant you a choice in the manner of your death." And he explains that for the first 100 years of being imprisoned, he swore to enrich the person who frees him forever, but it didn't happen. The second century that he was imprisoned, he swore that he would grant his liberator great wealth, but nobody freed him. In the third century, he swore to grant 3 wishes to the person who freed him, but nobody did so. And so in the fourth century that he was imprisoned, he became very angry, and he swore to kill the person who freed him, and grant them the choice of their death. And the fisherman is like, "Oh fuck," and he pleads for his life. And the Ifrit is like, "No way, man. You're not getting out of this. I'm gonna kill you." So the fisherman decides to trick the Djinn. He asks the Djinn, "How did you're this great and powerful Djinn. How in the world did you fit into this tiny bottle?" And so the Djinn, you know, probably a little stupidly, is eager to show off and places him back into the bottle to demonstrate his abilities. The fisherman quickly pops that cap back on there, and he threatens to throw it back in the sea. And the Djinn pleads with the fisherman. He says, "No, please don't throw me back in the ocean," and begs for mercy. Himbo Djinn moments. I mean, if you spent 400 years trapped in a bottle at the bottom of the ocean, you might be a little disoriented when you're first let out as well. Yes. But so he pleads for mercy, and he swears, "I'll be helpful if you let me go." And so the fisherman accepts the bargain, and he releases the Djinn. And so he takes the fisherman to a lake that has many exotic fish in it. And the fisherman is able to catch 4. And before the Djinn disappears, he tells the fisherman to give the fish to the Sultan. So the fisherman does, and he's rewarded with money for presenting the fish. But yeah. So when he does, he every time the fish is like each time the fish is fried, um, they like answer questions. And so the Sultan like goes on his own like uh, mystical journey. But the fisherman's part in the story is over. The Djinn's part in the story is over. So I didn't get into that part. That to me is its own story, but yeah. So that's another example of uh, like Djinns being trapped, granting a wish or helping. Um, but what's important about that is the Seal of Solomon. And it's usually depicted in the shape of a pentagram or a hexagram, and gave Solomon the power to command the supernatural. Um, and it's a symbol or character of like medieval magic or occultism or alchemy. It's a predecessor to the Star of David, um, and it comes from its own story about Solomon, like being able to seal away these entities and trap them. So that's kind of where you can see in those different stories, like the elements of the idea of a djinn. Um, First of all, being trapped in some sort of object. So in Witcher, it was an amphora. In Aladdin, it's a lamp. Um, they use all kind of jars. There's this idea that they're sealed inside. Um, you can see the origin of the idea that they give 3 wishes or they grant wishes. And you can see the idea that you have to be very careful about your wording and that it's taken very literally in a kind of malevolent way. So, um, on the question of whether djinns are good or evil, it kind of depends on where you see them. So, Disney's Aladdin, is the genie good or evil? He's kind of neutral, in my opinion. When he's with Aladdin, he's able to grant the wishes that Aladdin, asks for. He's a very good-natured person. Um, he he enjoys being with Aladdin because Aladdin doesn't make him do like terrible things. And he's like a kind of a jokester. He's like a nice guy. But when Jafar has him, he has to do the terrible things that Jafar wishes for. Um, and in the end, they're able to use the genie's like power of taking things literally to trap Jafar and create him into a new genie that's trapped in a lamp. So yeah, in that one, the genie kind of reflects average. I think you're right. The genie reflects the master. Hello, Tan. Welcome back. In the Witcher series, the Djinn is described as like a neutral being until it's trapped. So Geralt says specifically that when trapped, Djinns become very violent. I need to ask, what's that image? So this is a scene from The Witcher, and I think The Witcher is actually has the most like aspects of the original like stories where you have djinns, because where is Geralt when he's trying to find the genie? He's at a lake and he's fishing for it. He's I think this has the most like throwbacks to the fisherman and the genie, because he's literally like using one of those nets to like cast and try and get the genie out of the water. He also says that djinns become very violent when they're trapped, and they'll do anything to like lash out and become untrapped, which we can also see back in The Fisherman and the Genie, where as soon as he releases the genie and he says, "I wish you would just be quiet," the genie like takes that literally and injures Dandelion. And so, like, the genie is a neutral being until it's trapped, and it sees being trapped as harmful, and so it's going to get back at the people who harmed it, aka trapped it. Did the djinn get trapped in pants? Well, if you see here, there's like the jar is small. The jar is small. It's nice to know that Witcher took lore seriously. I know! I love the Witcher series. And I especially love like that part of it where they take it very seriously. And they take it very like the original stories and practically like copy paste them. I think that's awesome. If you go back and watch Supernatural, which I've not watched all of Supernatural, just like the first 4 seasons when it was good. But if you go back, they do an episode on djinns. Their version of a djinn is a creature, like a flesh and blood creature, that traps people in their own heads and grants them the wish that they think they want, like your innermost desire. And while you're trapped in this imaginary world inside of your head, you're in a coma basically. The djinn like sucks away your life force. So in Supernatural, djinns are a very evil creature. They take they take the idea of um, like djinns are evil to the extreme. You have the old show. I don't know if anybody's ever watched I Dream of Jeannie. I used to watch it. It was super cute. Um, it's from 1965. It has 5 seasons. It's adorable. I highly recommend it. Um, just know it is a show of its time. Okay, it's from 1965, so just keep that in mind. But it's the idea that there's a genie trapped in an oil lamp. This guy buys the oil lamp, and the genie comes with it, and it's this like white lady who grants wishes, and they do like sitcom comedy. So obviously she's a good person. She's like she does sometimes take things literally, so it goes back to like watching your words. Um, but overall, she's a good character, lawful good character, or chaotic good, really. Um, the Twilight Zone had a couple of episodes on djinns. They took more of the like trickster view of them. No euphemism in her book. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't like it's like the Amelia Bedelia series, where Amelia Bedelia would take everything very literally to the point of like being ridiculous. That's I Dream of Jeannie. um, but yeah, Twilight Zone, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Charmed all kind of take the view of djinns are evil, or they're tricksters, or like they're not to be messed with. Wizards of Waverly Place, obviously, it's a kids show, so it's more lighthearted. Just your typical sitcom hijinks. And then What We Do in the Shadows, which I love that show, uh, and we're gonna watch a bit of it. Just the part that has to do with Jeannie. Takes the idea that's more classic that they do have a limit to the wishes, but it's like 53 wishes or something like that. Um, Gosh, I wish it was just that. Yeah, exactly. Like literal. Be careful what you wish for. Um, and that genie is also the very literal, um, like watch what your words are, uh, type of genie. So in pop culture, are genies evil? Are genies good? It depends on what kind of show you're watching. All right. So now, the part everybody is waiting for, the part everybody wants to know. How do you structure your wish? Okay? Again, I would like to say my disclaimer that I'm not advocating for you to go find a genie and make wishes. But if you were to do it, here's some tips. All right. Remember, your words have power. Everything that you can say will be taken literally. So learn from other people's mistakes. You see the mistakes that were made in Three Ridiculous Wishes. The mistakes that are made in the Witcher series when he says, "I wish you would just shut up," and the genie basically breaks Dandelion's throat in order to make him shut up. Um, treat it like autism. Yes. No, be very literal in what you say. And learn from other people's mistakes. So take your time, watch your words. You don't want to have any like idioms, any euphemisms, anything like that that can be taken out of context and taken literally when that's not what you meant. So yeah, treat it like autism. No sayings, no idioms, no euphemisms. You want to plan out the wording of your wish in advance if possible. So, one thing that they did right in Three Ridiculous Wishes is they did not want to rush it. They ended up rushing into it, but they their original plan was to sleep on it and plan out what they wanted to wish for. They just didn't end up being smart enough to actually carry that out. Djinns are mood. Sometimes blunt and literal is helpful. Yes, exactly. Blunt and literal is exactly where you want to go with this. Time to Phoenix write it up. Oh my god, yeah. Um, but yeah, so you want to, if you can, plan out the wording of your wish. Sometimes the wishes are like foisted upon you with a no warning. That's pretty much every story. Like in Ridiculous Wishes and in The Fisherman and the Genie, both times they were given these wishes very quickly and had to decide them on the spot. And Aladdin's a special case. He got to like have that genie for years and make unlimited wishes. And so he started small and got, the wishes got bigger and bigger over time. All right. If possible, write down what you want and go off a script so that you don't mess up. Speaking from a script, 9 times out of 10 is going to be super, super helpful. And then last, but 100% not least, if you have somebody with you, so for example, Ridiculous Wishes, he and his wife got into an argument and basically fucked each other over. Dating sim rules, set options. Yes. But if you're going in this with a partner, make sure that you guys are on the same page. There's a lot of other cautionary tales of like being fucked over by the person you thought was on your side. So just make sure you're both on the same page about it. And try not to get into arguments because you'll say things and the djinn will be like, yes, that's it. That's the wish. Ba-bam. And your wife will end up with a sausage attached to her nose. Um, my sausage. I mean, I wouldn't want that attached. Like, I don't think anyone would want that attached to their nose either, Tan. It might get a little awkward to like walk around with. Imagine the logistics. Oh my god. All right. So that brings us to the end of our class. All right. So I hope you all have learned a lot. I hope this enlightens you that even with all the preparation in the world, all of the scripts, all of the scenarios, you can still get fucked over by a djinn. Does the bell dismiss us? The bell doesn't dismiss you. I do. Um, so Jin CA win. Espa, focus on driving. Focus on your driving, mister. Is that your dismissal? We're gonna go raid somebody. So, uh, I guess the raid is your dismissal. Um, but let me go find somebody. I hope that you enjoy enjoyed the class. I really liked looking up all of the Djinn lore and learning some things myself. This was a lot of fun, and for real, don't do it. Don't fuck with Djinns. They're tricky bitches. Okay. All right. But let's find somebody to raid. Um, why don't we go say hi to Moa? No, I'm gonna fuck with Djinns anyway. God damn it. That is the exact opposite of what I wanted. All right. But thank you for hanging out. I really enjoyed this putting this class together and going through it. And I'll be on Tuesday night. We're moving Stardew Monday to Stardew Tuesday this week because of my work schedule. And but we will have Stardew Tuesday this week. So would a half Djinn child be nicer to their parent though? Can Djinns have kids? I think I did see a bit about Djinns being able to impregnate humans, but I don't think they create. Um, I don't think they create half Djinn, half humans. I think it's just uh, like a human. Yeah. Counterpoint: Shantae is half genie hero. Ooh. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there you go. It's pop culture. So I guess it goes back. It depends on what medium you're watching. What you're watching.